Suffolk County Council elections taking place on Thursday the 2nd of May, and this morning we're going to be talking about Felixstowe, or North Felixstowe and Trimley. Very confusing. That actually includes Walton, which was the original town of it all.
Yeah.
And one of the candidates that has chosen to come into the studio to talk to us is Mike Ninnmey, who represents the Liberal Democrats. Good morning.
Indeed. Good morning to you,
Good
young
morning,
man.
Good
How are you
morning.
doing? You all right?
Well, yes. Now, you're fairly well known in the town.
I don't know. People keep coming up and saying, you're that guy, and I haven't got a clue.
But you've been here 40 years.
I have. Man and boy. No, actually, man.
And you've represented the constituency in Felixstowe West.
Indeed, I did.
For Suffolk Coastal District.
Yes, for 8 years.
For 8 years?
Yes.
Okay. So now we are going to the Suffolk County Council.
Indeed.
What are the issues that you're interested in?
Well, I think they're pretty much as they've always been. It's education, it's housing, it's health, it's employment. And those sort of four factors are a key part to everybody's life, isn't it? If you've got somewhere to live, you've got a job to keep you going, you've got access to education, and your health at least will be looked after, then you've got the makings of a good life from which you can actually strive on, if that's what you
things are settling down now, we hope. I suppose
Are they?
the Felixstowe Academy, relatively new, has meant the loss of our two senior schools here, the Orwell High and what's the other one called?
Do you want Orwell Deepen?
The Deepen.
Yes, the pair of them.
The Deepen. And we've now got the one authority. Now, there was a bit of a fight to get that.
Well, I think I attended a vast number of meetings that took place at both schools, and my approach to it was that it always should have been a community college rather than being farmed on to a academy organisation.
Well, there's some doubts about that.
And the reason for that is, coming from Devon, having travelled extensively, what you do tend to find in remoter, certainly coastal communities, where you have only the one sort of secondary sixth form area of education, that needs to be available for the whole community, for a whole life education, because unlike in your day and mine, when you've completed your secondary or university education nowadays, that's not the end of it. You've got to continually retrain, re-access, haven't you? And particularly if you lose your job in these pretty bad times and you really want to be got up to speed on whatever that skill may be.
Well, I have problems with that. I'd rather look at grammar, logic and rhetoric and have a classical education.
Well, go and teach a course at our community college. I mean, why don't get out there and do it?
That's it. But
you need access to, and one of the problems now is that academies are being run for profit by organisations, and in their first loyalty, as business case requires, is to their shareholders.
Yes, and we did have quite a good bid from the local representative group here.
Well,
that was doing it with the co-op, the cooperative.
And others. And when it got to the cabinet, the actual scoring of both bids was exactly the same. So the decision of the cabinet decided to give it to the academy rather than the community. Who
had at that point no real track.
None at all.
History at all. Anyway, so there's education, and I think it's vitally important that we consider the future of our children and what is happening.
Imperative. Yeah.
So where else are we going? We've got retailing in this town, and of course,
we had.
Of course, in Trimley, you look set to have.
No, don't let's presuppose what Development Control South may eventually decide. But fundamentally, we have not one, not two, but 3 bids suddenly, out of the blue, to drive supermarkets into our town whose capacity exceeds the capacity of the town itself, which is quite bizarre.
That's right, and we've got Waitrose up the road.
Yes, we have. Well, you got them all over. I mean, they've been spawned like a disease and a rash, haven't they? I mean, when I saw, I think, the retail study that was around 2007, it said that the existing supermarket floor space around the Ipswich bypass doubled the capacity that was needed then. And since then, they've all gone on and on, haven't they, remorselessly?
Well, being a suspicious old devil,
Are you?
is
Right.
is that because they're anticipating
Market share.
more housing coming into
No,
the area?
purely market share.
Are
They're driven by grabbing as much as they can.
The bid for Tesco's says it will build a superstore
Yes,
and
yes.
it will build 250 houses in that order, mind you. But
No, there is no application for the housing. It's outlined. So
Right.
there isn't any. So it's illusionary,
So that-
as always. And, you know, give us this, we'll give you that. And one of the problems we now have, certainly at district council level and the county, is the fact that there's a house bonus now, isn't there? Central government is so embarrassed by the fact that house building programme is dropped from the needful 270 units per annum down to less than 100,000 units, that they've decided to bring forward a programme of giving bonuses to those who can deliver any housing at all. So you've now really got to question whether Development Control is making its decision on the planning merit, the fear that the applicant may take them to court in appeal, or they're really interested in getting the housing bonus in so they can keep an artificially low council tax. That is an involved subject.
yes, it is.
Our poor old viewer has already gone off to
But
sleep.
I have something of a problem with all that. One of the things that we tend to find is that they are talking to large organisations and companies. I mean, Trinity College, for instance, comes here every 10 years, builds and disappears. Has it ever given this town anything at all?
Not that I know, but I mean, I look at Trinity College a bit like the Irish absentee landlord. And now they had an agent called Boycott, didn't they?
Yeah.
From which the wonderful name. We've got one called Bidwell. So perhaps we could switch the name.
Well, he's the estate agent for Trinity College.
He's their agent. Yeah.
But
and getting a straight answer is not easy.
no, it's not. And
In fact, I could say it's impossible.
we need to have a plan for Felixstowe, don't we?
We do. We have a master plan. You and I have a master plan. We paid over £100,000 for it, and it sits in a desk in a drawer gathering dust.
All right.
Okay. I mean, I'll produce it for you. It is well reasoned. They've had to modify it because of a analysis of what the flood risk is. So a number of sites were identified by the master plan as suitable for housing has now had to be removed from that list. But there's a lot of good stuff in it. And Chelmsford, who had one done at the same time, don't know whether you've been there recently, on how it would renew itself, is roaring away.
Good for
Chelmsford. Well done, Marconi.
Yes.
Even though the idiots who ran it blew it up, didn't they, financially?
We won't talk
But
about
that's nothing to do with local politics.
I'm an Essex-born lad. You can't
We all have a cross to bear, Trevor.
criticise me too much
Right.
on that. But so where do we go from here? You've got these issues. One of them is Walton, I understand.
Oh, yes,
you've got a leaflet. And actually, that is the first promotional leaflet that I've seen.
You see, if Dan was in here driving the camera, we could show it to the viewer. But
Oh, right,
sadly,
okay. Well,
he's a busy boy out there. He's running all the technology, and the rest of the production staff are obviously very, very
But
busy.
you're concerned about the rateable values of Walton as
Yes.
compared with other parts of the...
I mean, I view the division of what is by the bean counters called Felixstowe North in Trimley as being the three villages of Walton, St Mary, St Martin.
Yep.
Yes. And your current parish precept for St Martin is £30.32p, right? For St Mary's it's £26.64, but for Walton it comes in at a staggering £67.28.
Any explanation of that?
Well, sadly, well, not sadly, Walton de facto is a part of the Felixstowe parish.
Right.
So you pay whatever Felixstowe decides to charge you. And one thing about the charges that district, county and parishes are allowed to levy, if you are levying the county tax, which is 75% of the total tax, if you go above 2%, your constituents can ask for a referendum to endorse that and stop it. But at parish, There is no such power. You cannot call it in.
We're getting into complicated
It is
areas
complicated.
now.
Oh, it's complicated.
And Mike Ninnmey is the man that knows, or appears to know, all the detail
Well,
on
I know
that.
some of it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mike. We'll talk to you, I hope, later.
Well, if we survive.
Yeah.
I mean, the real thing that you haven't touched on is the appalling state that our health service on the peninsula has been allowed
I'm not going
to change to.
I'm not going to anymore.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.